Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. So today is a very important session based on elementary operations which we do in matrices. So elementary operation is sort of any operation to transform my matrix. Now in what form we want to transform, that is dependent on my aim. So depending on the aim in which I want to transform my matrix into a particular form or in a in any form we want to transform it, we make use of elementary operation. Now there are few different types of operations which we can do on our matrix. The first one is basically by interchanging my rows. Now what do I mean by interchanging my rows is that what if I'm given this matrix. Okay, I'm just writing a 3 cross 3 matrix. Okay, and I want that my second row should be at the first place and my first row should be at my second place. So how do we write it? We want the row 1. Now just focus that each and every row, if I want to express my row 1, it is written as R1. This is my row 1. If I want to express my row 2, this is my row 2. And if I want to express my row 3, this is my row 3. So this is how we express each of the rows in my matrix with a capital R, and in the subscript we mention the number which will denote the row number. Okay. So now what I want is that I want my row 1 and row 2 to swap, isn't it? We want both of them to swap their rows. So how can we do it? I want the row 1. So I have just written capital R with the subscript 1. I want it to swap. So these two arrows mean that these two rows will interchange, or we can say swap. Okay. So we just need to write the initial value which we are starting with and what conclusion do we have to go with the notation. Okay. So now what this operation will do is that it will move my second row at the first place and my first row is moved to the second place while my third row third remains unchanged because we haven't applied any operation over it. Okay, so this is how we do the first operation, which is interchanging rows. I hope so you have understand it. Now the second one is that if we multiply our matrix with any scalar value. So if I have a matrix, suppose 2 1 0 1, okay, this is my matrix. I want this particular value over here, this value over here, I want it to be 1. Okay. Now, why I'm doing these changes, you will just understand in the coming session, because we need to find inverse of a matrix. So over there, we need these operations as well. So how can I make this value 1? We can divide it by 1, isn't it? So what I can do is that again, I will start with what I'm considering. I'm considering my first row because I want to deal with my first row. This arrow. This arrow denotes that I want to transform my row 1. Okay, I want to transfer my row 1 in such a way that I'm dividing my row 1 by 2, isn't it? Because how can this value be 1? If I divide my 2 by 2, this will give me 1. So what is the resultant? My 2 will be divided by 2, my 1 will be divided by 2. Now just focus that this operation is only applied on R1, will only apply on my row 1. My row 2 will remain unchanged. Okay, so after just solving this, this will be my resultant matrix. So this is how we multiply a given row with a scalar value, and we can so on make the changes. Now the third one is addition to the elements of the row. Now this can be addition or subtraction, to be honest, depending again on our aim. So for example, I will just consider a matrix 1 2 2 1. So this is my matrix. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to make this value as 0. Okay, now you just need to focus how can you make this value 0 using the existing rows. Okay, so using my first row, how can I make this value 0? Just think, if this is my value 2 if I subtract twice of 1, this will be my value 0, okay? In other words, I can say if I consider my row 2 and subtract my row 1, because this is my 1, isn't it? So this will give me 0 value, okay? So in terms of operation, I will first of all write what I'm considering is my row 2 because I want to make changes in my row 2. So I will write R of 2. I want to do a transformation, right? So in such a way that I am making changes in my row 2. So I'm subtracting it. What I'm subtracting? Twice the value of my row 1. So this is the operation which we will carry out in the given matrix in such a way that this will give me the resultant matrix. So there is no changes in my row 1, right? So only changes that are taking place is in my row 2. So 2 minus of twice of this value, and again this minus of 1 minus of twice of my row 1. This is twice of 2. So the resultant matrix will be 2 minus of 2 is 0, minus 1 minus of 4 is nothing but minus of 5. Okay, so this is another kind of transformation which we make. Now just remember that in cases like this, the value which we have written here, that value will come first. Like in case you get confused, if I'm writing R3, it will be R3, then the consecutive operation which we are taking place. So these are the few elementary operations in a matrix.